There are things that surprise even me. There's a bunch of amazing facts out there you weren't aware of. Let me tell you some of them. I'm the useless guy, and here I am with amazing facts you didn't know. Bird lungs don't just breathe, they overachieve. Thanks to a looped airflow system and air sacs, birds can pull in oxygen even while exhaling. This one-way circulation means their lungs work more like jet engines than bellows. The setup is so efficient, it allows geese to fly over the Himalayas, while humans wheeze walking uphill. The star SMSSJ031300.36 is among the oldest known in the universe, identified in 2014 using advanced telescopic surveys. This ancient star is estimated to be over 13.6 billion years old, making it a rare survivor from the cosmic dawn. Its nearly pristine composition, almost entirely hydrogen and helium, indicates it formed before the first generation of stars could seed the cosmos with heavier elements. A metacane sounds like something a pirate would mispronounce, but it's actually a hurricane in the Mediterranean. These storms act like tropical cyclones but form in mid-latitudes, typically between Europe and North Africa. They're rare, unpredictable, and small, like nature's way of reminding weather apps to stay humble. Land hermit crabs are renowned for seeking humid microhabitats. They conserve moisture by carrying water inside their shells and by burrowing into damp sand or substrate, actions that prevent desiccation. These behaviors help them retain water, reduce their need to visit freshwater sources, and enhance their survival in terrestrial environments. In 2020, studies on comb jellies revealed they possess a unique nervous system, where some neural signals bypass traditional synapses, instead relying on direct neurochemical connections. This discovery broadens our understanding of neural evolution, showing that complex nervous systems can develop through different pathways. Rediviid bugs, commonly called kissing bugs, for their habit of feeding near the mouth, administer an almost painless bite by secreting a mild anesthetic. Certain species harbor the protozoan Trypanosoma cruzi, causative agent of Chagas disease, which can remain clinically silent for many years before producing serious cardiac or gastrointestinal illness across Central and South America. Penitentes are unusual ice formations found at high-altitude regions, especially in the Andes. These blade-like structures can grow several meters tall. They form through sublimation, where ice turns directly into vapor under intense sunlight and low humidity, rather than by melting. Their growth depends on very specific atmospheric conditions. The Baining people of Papua New Guinea hold fire dances where men in barkcloth masks walk barefoot through open flames. Anthropologists once thought the ritual had vanished, but it still survives today as a coming-of-age tradition, essentially a cultural reminder that some folks don't need shoes to make a point. In 1963, physicist Murray Gell-Mann named the building blocks of protons quarks, borrowing the word from James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake, which famously reads like a dream with grammar issues. The line "3 quarks for muster mark" was nonsensical enough to fit quantum physics perfectly, where particles exist unless you check. The Huarochirí manuscript, written in Quechua during Spanish colonization of Peru, is a rare written account of pre-Columbian Andean beliefs. It includes stories about water spirits, sacred mountains, and mythical ancestors. Despite colonial pressure to erase native culture, these myths were preserved, on paper, not just in memory. The Turkana Basin in Kenya is geology's version of a family photo album. With sediment layers dating back over 4 million years, it holds some of the oldest hominin fossils ever found. It's where researchers like Richard Leakey uncovered crucial clues about human evolution, all without needing a time machine. Land mosses, including some species of bryum, are renowned for their resilience under extreme conditions. While Antarctic mosses, such as those in the genus Bryum, can survive long periods frozen under ice, the claim of 400-year revival applies specifically to Antarctic moss banks, not Bryum argenteum. After ice retreat, these mosses regrow from dormant shoots, not from spores. The Voynich manuscript, created in the early 15th century, is renowned for its enigmatic content. Its pages primarily feature lavishly illustrated botanical, astronomical, and bathing scenes, including depictions of nude women in water-filled vessels, accompanied by an undeciphered script. The presence of bathing scenes and plant imagery has led to theories about therapeutic or alchemical traditions. But without translation, the manuscript's true purpose and meaning remain a profound historical mystery. In 1942, Nazi Germany launched Operation Bernhard, a plan to crash the British economy using fake money. They printed high-quality counterfeit banknotes so convincingly, even the Bank of England couldn't tell the difference. It was probably the only wartime operation where precision engraving was a national security threat. The Pantheon in Rome has held on to a strange world record, the largest unreinforced concrete dome. Built in the 2nd century CE, it still hasn't been topped, literally. The Romans mixed volcanic ash into the concrete and made the dome thinner at the top, essentially out-engineering modern builders with ancient lava. The Brocken Spectre sounds like a ghost, but is really your own shadow, projected onto mountain mist and surrounded by a glowing halo. First reported in the mountains of Germany, it moves with you, mimicking your every gesture. Its atmospheric optics way of saying, yes, you are the main character. The Maya achieved extraordinary precision by tracking the cycle of Venus, which they predicted with a margin of error as small as 1 day in 6,000 years. Their Dresden Codex contains detailed Venus tables, used not only for astronomy, but also to time important events, reflecting the planet's significance as both a god and a guide for royal and martial activities. Though their predictive models were cyclical and observational, not computational as today. In 2016, researchers achieved quantum teleportation of a particle's state between 2 silicon chips by utilizing photon entanglement. This process transferred quantum information instantaneously without moving physical matter. Although not equivalent to fictional teleportation, the experiment demonstrated a viable method for real-time quantum state transfer, contributing to the development of scalable quantum communication systems. The Maori of Aotearoa employed a traditional tattooing method known as tamoko, in which pigment was embedded into the skin using chisels called uhi, rather than puncturing with needles. Each facial tattoo encoded lineage, tribal affiliation, and social status, functioning as a permanent and culturally significant form of identification. In 2019, marine biologists documented a new deep-sea echinoderm species, Astrolyrus patricki, residing approximately 3,900 meters below sea level. It attaches itself to hexactinellid sponges in the western Pacific Ocean, and is named after the cartoon character Patrick Star, due to its rounded pink morphology. The Scythians, a nomadic culture active from the 9th to 3rd centuries BCE across the Eurasian steppe, interred their dead in kurgans, large burial mounds containing gold artifacts, weaponry, and sacrificed horses. Some remains, preserved in permafrost, display intricate full-body tattoos depicting stylized fauna and mythological creatures, reflecting complex symbolic systems. The Mapinguari from Amazonian lore is often depicted as a towering red-haired beast with backwards-facing feet and a repulsive stench said to overwhelm those who encounter it. While such descriptions fuel speculation, there is no conclusive evidence linking this mythical creature to extinct ground sloths like Megatherium or Melodon. Thiomargarita magnifica, a bacterium discovered in 2022 in Caribbean mangroves, challenges standard bacterial definitions due to its macroscopic size, exceeding 1 centimeter, and compartmentalized genetic material enclosed in membrane-bound structures. This discovery, published in Science, redefines the upper boundary of prokaryotic cell complexity. The order Sirenia, comprising dugongs and manatees, is phylogenetically closest to elephants and extinct terrestrial herbivores within the clade Paenungulata. Fossil and molecular data indicate their divergence occurred over 50 million years ago, with early Sirenians transitioning from land to aquatic habitats during the Eocene epoch. Bolivia's Salar de Uyuni spans over 10,000 square kilometers and constitutes the world's largest salt flat. Following seasonal rainfall, a thin water layer forms a reflective surface, producing a mirror-like effect. This phenomenon is observable via satellite imagery and has been used for Earth observation calibration due to its uniformity and high albedo. Ogham, an early medieval Irish script, consists of straight-line incisions made along the edges of stone monuments and wooden rods. Used primarily between the 4th and 6th centuries CE, its characters often bear tree-inspired names, such as Beith for birch and Aelm for silver fir. The Khmer Empire engineered intricate hydrological networks at Angkor, integrating reservoirs, canals, and water catchment systems. This advanced infrastructure enabled year-round rice cultivation and supported both urban expansion and a dense population. Some scholars estimate up to 1 million in Greater Angkor during the 12th century, making it one of the world's largest pre-industrial cities. The term algebra originates from al-Jabr, coined in the early 9th century by Persian mathematician Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi in his treatise Al-Kitab al-Mukhtasar fi Hisab al-Jabr wal-Muqabala. His work laid the foundation for systematic equation-solving methods, influencing the development of algebraic theory in medieval Europe. The Bagobo people of Mindanao possess vibrant oral traditions, rich with cosmological themes, yet their stories do not include the motif of a bird pecking the sky to release the moon or explain eclipses. Instead, their narratives reflect a unique perspective on celestial phenomena, showcasing deep ancestral wisdom and imaginative engagement with the natural world long before the advent of modern astronomy. In 2011, researchers documented microbial ecosystems thriving over 3 kilometers beneath the surface in South African gold mines. These bacteria, such as Candidatus desulfuris audax viator, metabolize sulfate using radiolytically generated hydrogen from uranium decay, forming one of Earth's deepest known biospheres independent of photosynthetic energy. Anaximander of Miletus, a 6th century BCE philosopher, proposed that life originated in water and that humans developed from aquatic ancestors, a bold claim for his time. While lacking empirical evidence and framed as philosophical conjecture, his ideas represent an early intellectual effort to explain life's origins and transformations, centuries before modern evolutionary theory. Discovered in 1908 at the Minoan Palace of Phaistos, Crete, the Phaistos disc is a fired clay tablet inscribed with 242 stamped symbols arranged in a tight spiral. Its unique script remains undeciphered, sparking debate over its function, possibly religious, record-keeping, or decorative. Chile's Po6 Glacier, located in the southern Patagonian icefield, has exhibited consistent advancement since the mid-20th century, expanding at rates exceeding 50 meters per year. Unlike the global trend of glacial retreat, this anomalous behavior is attributed to complex regional climatic and geologic factors. The Tolkapiam, composed between the 3rd century BCE and the 2nd century CE, is the earliest extant treatise on Tamil grammar. It systematizes linguistic rules covering phonology, morphology, syntax, and prosody, and remains a foundational text in the study of classical Tamil language and Dravidian linguistics. The word orangutan comes from the Malay language, meaning person of the forest. These apes are native to Borneo and Sumatra, and are the only great apes found outside Africa. Studies have shown they can recognize themselves in mirrors, a sign of self-awareness shared with only a few other species, such as dolphins, elephants, and some birds. Nan Madol, in the Federated States of Micronesia, is an awe-inspiring complex of 92 artificial islets built atop coral reefs using massive columnar basalt blocks, some exceeding 50 tons in weight. Constructed as the ceremonial and political hub of the Saudalur dynasty circa 1100 to 1500 CE, its most intensive building phase occurred around 1180 to 1200 CE. Male pectoral sandpipers migrate approximately 13,000 kilometers each year from breeding grounds in Alaska to South America. During the mating season, they rest for only a few minutes at a time over several days. This extreme sleep reduction appears to help them compete more successfully for mates without noticeable cognitive impairment. The Book of Soiga, once owned by the English mathematician John Dee, contains encrypted Latin texts and tables that remain largely undeciphered. Dee, who served as advisor to Queen Elizabeth I, reportedly believed that understanding the book required angelic guidance. While some parts were decrypted in recent years, much of its content is still unexplained. In the late 19th century, Japanese seismologists adopted pendulum-based instruments, often called shindoke, adapted from Luigi Palmieri's mercury switch seismoscope and later refined by researchers such as Sir John Milne. A suspended mass closed in electrical contact the instant faint P waves arrived, ringing a bell and giving observers a brief audible warning before the stronger S waves followed. The Sherpa population of the Himalayas exhibits genetic adaptations for high-altitude environments. One significant variant, found in the EPAS1 gene, helps regulate red blood cell production. Unlike other populations that produce more hemoglobin in thin air, Sherpas maintain lower levels, reducing the risk of altitude sickness while still supporting sufficient oxygen transport. In 2013, medical professionals in China attended to a woman who had a knife lodged in her skull. Imaging revealed the blade had followed an unlikely path between critical blood vessels and brain structures, sparing major damage. The patient experienced no lasting neurological deficits and survived with only mild discomfort. Throughout the 19th century, scientists proposed the existence of luminiferous ether, a substance thought to fill space and carry light waves. This idea was tested in the 1887 Michelson-Morley experiment, which found no evidence of ether. Its failure supported the later development of Einstein's theory of special relativity. In prehistoric Britain, people built large wooden enclosures known as timber henges, often before or alongside stone monuments like Stonehenge. These structures have long since decayed, but archaeologists can trace their presence through soil patterns and post holes. They likely served ceremonial or social purposes, though their exact function is still debated. Despite its small size and rodent-like appearance, the sengji, or elephant shrew, is genetically closer to elephants than to mice. DNA studies place it within the Afrotheria group, which also includes manatees and hyraxes. This surprising relationship highlights the complexity of mammalian evolution in Africa. The horloge astronomical clock in Prague, installed in 1410, is the oldest functioning clock of its kind. In addition to keeping time, it tracks lunar phases, zodiac positions, and calendar dates based on old Czech traditions. It represents a blend of medieval craftsmanship, astronomical knowledge, and mechanical engineering. Discovered in the 1990s, the anamox process involves bacteria converting ammonium and nitrite into nitrogen gas without using oxygen. These anaerobic microbes play a crucial role in the global nitrogen cycle and have been integrated into energy-efficient wastewater treatment technologies used today. The Kuna people of Panama have the highest documented incidence of albinism globally. In their culture, albino individuals hold symbolic significance and are traditionally associated with the moon, with their role becoming especially prominent during eclipses. This cultural integration reflects enduring respect and recognition, though there is no clear evidence of their participation in regular lunar ceremonies. Pedophryn amoensis, discovered in Papua New Guinea in 2012, is the world's smallest known vertebrate. The adult male measures just 7.7 millimeters in length, smaller than a grain of rice. Its high-frequency chirps fall within the ultrasonic range and may help it avoid predators in dense forest litter. The Ojibwe people of North America developed a system of birch bark scrolls to record traditional knowledge. These scrolls captured songs, navigation routes, rituals, and moral teachings. Interpreted using memory prompts rather than writing, they served as long-term repositories of oral history passed down through generations. The underground city of Naours, in northern France, contains more than 300 chambers carved into chalk limestone. Used for centuries, the site became a shelter for soldiers during World War I. Thousands left inscriptions on the walls, many of which have been preserved as historical graffiti dating back over a century. In 1993, Hubble Space Telescope observations confirmed that Jupiter's Great Red Spot, a centuries-old high-pressure storm larger than Earth, is gradually shrinking. Historical records suggest it once spanned over 40,000 kilometers, but by the 1990s, it had contracted to roughly 24,000 kilometers across. While the cause of this diminishment remains uncertain, ongoing studies of the spot provide valuable insights into the complex meteorology of Jupiter's atmosphere. Axonite crystals exhibit piezoelectric properties, generating an electric charge when mechanically stressed, a trait also seen in quartz. However, while this effect is scientifically valid in axonite, the mineral's rarity, lower durability, and inconsistent crystal formation prevent its commercial use. In contrast, quartz is widely used in sensors, frequency stabilizers, and piezoelectric devices due to its abundance, stability, and ease of manufacturing. The tungsten filament used in incandescent bulbs was the result of international experimentation by engineers from Austria, Hungary, and the United States in the early 20th century. Tungsten's melting point of over 3,400 degrees Celsius made it ideal for long-lasting bulbs, replacing earlier filaments made of carbon. The term vaccine originates from vacca, the Latin word for cow. In the 1790s, Edward Jenner used material from cowpox lesions to immunize people against smallpox. His work laid the foundation for immunology and marked the first recorded scientific method of disease prevention using controlled exposure. In 2023, cryptographers deciphered a 500-year-old letter written by Mary, Queen of Scots, during her imprisonment by Elizabeth I. The complex cipher, previously thought lost, revealed insights into Mary's diplomatic efforts, family concerns, and attempts to negotiate her release from confinement. The Langtree meteorite, found in Texas in 1971, contains pre-solar grains, microscopic particles that originated in ancient stars and predate the formation of our solar system. These grains are identified by isotopic anomalies in elements such as oxygen, silicon, nitrogen, carbon, neon, and xenon. Preserved across billions of years, they provide direct physical evidence of stellar processes and the galactic environment that existed before the Sun and planets formed. In March 2013, researchers published in Science the development of a biological transistor called a transcriptor, built using DNA and enzymes to perform logic operations. Although it mimics electronic computing functions, the transcriptor operates in vitro, within a test tube, not inside living cells. While not a living computer, it marked a foundational advance toward programmable biological systems using genetic components. Bonobos, close relatives of chimpanzees, share approximately 98.7% of their DNA with humans. Unlike most primates, bonobos often use sexual interaction as a means to reduce conflict, build bonds, and stabilize group dynamics, essentially turning awkward tension into a behavioral strategy. In medieval Europe, powdered emerald was valued not only as a gemstone, but also as a purported remedy for ailments ranging from poisoning to infectious disease. Despite lacking any therapeutic properties, its use reflected a blend of classical medical tradition and the prestige of rare minerals, often providing psychological comfort through the placebo effect rather than physiological healing. For people whose education was largely focused on the Western world, it may be surprising to find out exactly how huge the continent of Africa is. For instance, it spans all 4 hemispheres and covers nearly 12 million square miles. The Polynesian rat was transported across the Pacific by early seafaring populations. Its DNA now helps archaeologists track prehistoric human migration routes, revealing patterns of settlement from Southeast Asia to remote islands such as Hawaii and Easter Island. The Weddell seal can dive to depths beyond 600 meters and remain submerged for over an hour. It achieves this by slowing its heart rate to as few as 4 beats per minute and conserving oxygen for critical organs, making deep-sea meditation a survival technique. The axolotl, sometimes called the Mexican walking fish, remains in its aquatic larval state throughout its life, a condition known as neoteny. Unlike most amphibians, it retains gills and never undergoes metamorphosis unless exposed to hormonal triggers. It's basically the Peter Pan of amphibians. The medieval stone city of Great Zimbabwe was constructed between the 11th and 15th centuries CE using interlocking granite blocks, without mortar. The Great Enclosure, its largest structure, features walls over 10 meters high and illustrates the architectural skill of the Shona civilization. The star R136A1, located in the Tarantula Nebula within the Large Magellanic Cloud, is among the most massive stars ever observed. It is estimated to be over 200 times the mass of the Sun and radiates nearly 9 million times more energy. Basically, the universe's overachiever. The human gastrointestinal tract contains over 100 million neurons, surpassing the spinal cord in complexity. Known as the enteric nervous system, this network regulates digestion independently from the brain, earning it the nickname the second brain. And just like the first one, it definitely overthinks spicy food. The Salish peoples of the Pacific Northwest have a rich tradition of visual storytelling, often depicted on large carved cedar panels displayed during community events. While these panels are sometimes informally called storyboards by scholars, they are distinct from the individual totem poles of neighboring cultures. The Salish used these narrative artworks to preserve and convey histories, myths, and social values across generations. During the Cold War, Soviet scientists drilled the Kola super-deep borehole to a depth of over 12 kilometers, reaching rocks approximately 2.7 billion years old. Temperatures exceeded 180 degrees Celsius, surpassing predictions and ending the project before the drill could melt itself. The Colugo, also called the flying lemur, is neither a lemur nor capable of flight. It glides as far as 150 meters between trees using a large patagium, a skin membrane connecting its limbs. In terms of aerial strategy, it's halfway between a kite and a squirrel. The blanket octopus exhibits one of the most extreme cases of sexual size dimorphism known in animals. While mature females can exceed 2 meters in length, males typically reach only a few centimeters. The mass difference is especially dramatic. By weight, females may outweigh males by a factor of 10,000 to 40,000. After mating, males die soon after transferring a specialized detachable arm containing sperm, which the female stores for later fertilization. In 2003, scientists discovered that cicada wings possess microscopic nanopillars capable of rupturing bacterial membranes on contact. This natural bactericidal effect occurs without chemicals and has inspired research into antimicrobial surfaces for medical and industrial use, all courtesy of a noisy insect with hygienic wings. The gutta percha tree, primarily Palaquium gutta, provided a latex material used extensively in the mid-19th century to insulate undersea telegraph cables. Its thermoplastic properties and resistance to seawater corrosion made it essential to submarine communication infrastructure before synthetic polymers were available. The first successful transatlantic cable in 1866 utilized gutta percha insulation. The Dumbo octopus, belonging to the genus Grimpoteuthis, inhabits hadal depths, reaching up to 7,000 meters. It propels using lateral fins resembling ears and lacks an ink sac due to the absence of visual predators in total darkness. Its physiology is adapted to high-pressure, low-temperature environments below the abyssal zone. Jupiter's magnetic field produces radiation belts that exceed Earth's Van Allen belts by a factor of 1,000 in intensity. These belts, composed primarily of energetic electrons and ions, render the vicinity lethal to unshielded spacecraft. NASA's Juno probe, launched in 2011, was designed with specialized shielding to withstand the extreme environment. The Kingdom of Bhutan employs the Gross National Happiness Index as its principal development metric, replacing conventional GDP. Established formally in 2008, the index assesses 9 domains including psychological well-being, ecological diversity, time use, and cultural vitality. It remains one of the few national policy frameworks incorporating non-economic measures of progress. Cryptococcus neoformans is a pathogenic fungus capable of intracellular survival within host macrophages. It forms a polysaccharide capsule that inhibits phagocytic degradation, enabling persistence and dissemination in immunocompromised individuals. It is a leading cause of fatal fungal meningitis among patients with HIV/AIDS, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. The Reynard cycle, a collection of Middle Ages fables, circulated across Europe in vernaculars such as Middle Dutch, Old French, and German between the 12th and 14th centuries. These allegorical animal narratives critiqued feudal institutions and religious authority. Reynard the Fox became a literary archetype of the subversive trickster figure. The inhabitants of the Marquesas Islands practiced full-body tattooing, including on the eyelids, gums, and tongue. Tattooing served not as decoration, but as a social and ritual marker of genealogy, rank, and spiritual function. The practice was documented by early European explorers, such as Captain James Cook in the late 18th century. The island of Icaria, part of the North Aegean region of Greece, exhibits one of the highest centenarian ratios globally. Epidemiological studies attribute longevity to low-calorie Mediterranean diets, frequent physical activity, midday rest periods, and dense kinship networks. These variables collectively define what gerontologists term the Icarian lifestyle. In 2021, a collaboration between researchers at Google and Stanford University demonstrated a discrete time crystal in a chain of superconducting qubits, a novel phase of matter that exhibits periodic temporal structure without continuous energy input, enabled by Floquet engineering. This quantum system does not violate thermodynamics because it is driven and not in equilibrium. The Ebers Papyrus, dated to circa 1550 BCE, is a medical manuscript from Thebes containing over 700 remedies and surgical instructions. It includes prescriptions involving honey, castor oil, garlic, and surgical techniques such as trepanation and nasal extraction. It is preserved in the University of Leipzig and remains a key source on ancient Egyptian medicine. Serotonin, chemically known as 5-hydroxytryptamine, is present across a wide range of metazoans. In humans, it modulates mood, appetite, and cognition. In sea urchins and fruit flies, it governs locomotion and reproductive behavior. Its evolutionary conservation indicates early emergence in bilaterian neurochemistry during the Precambrian period. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Russian researchers reported microstructures in carbonaceous meteorites resembling ancient prokaryotic microfossils, mainly cyanobacteria. The scientific community remained skeptical due to contamination concerns, and their methods were criticized. While these claims briefly revived interest in lithopanspermia, evidence was not widely accepted as conclusive. Claims about fossilized plankton in these meteorites emerged later, not during this early period. Olmec monumental sculptures from the first millennium BCE depict anthropomorphic figures with jaguar traits, commonly referred to as wer-jaguars. These figures, found at sites such as La Venta and San Lorenzo in present-day Mexico, are believed to represent deified ancestors or mythological beings. The Olmec civilization is considered a foundational culture of Mesoamerica. The silkworm Bombyx mori is fully domesticated and no longer exists in the wild. Selective breeding over millennia rendered the moth flightless and dependent on human-managed reproduction. Genetic analysis traces its domestication to Bombyx mandarina, a wild species native to China, likely during the Neolithic period. The term algorithm originates from the Latin algorithmi, referring to the 9th century Persian mathematician Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. His treatise, Al-Kitab al-Mukhtasar fi Hisab al-Jabr wal-Muqabala, was translated into Latin in the 12th century and introduced Hindu-Arabic numerals and systematic algebra to Europe. In the 18th and early 19th centuries, some European religious authorities hesitated to adopt lightning rods, concerned that deflecting lightning interfered with divine will. While a few churches may have delayed installation, there is little evidence of widespread ecclesiastical bans. Over time, scientific understanding prevailed, and lightning protection became standard, safeguarding both sacred and secular structures across Europe. Dihalococoides athenogenes is an anaerobic bacterium capable of reductive dechlorination of industrial solvents, such as trichloroethylene and perchloroethylene. It plays a central role in bioremediation efforts at contaminated sites. First isolated in the late 1990s, it is one of the few organisms able to fully dechlorinate these compounds to non-toxic ethene. Stepwells, such as Rani Ki Vav in Gujarat, India, constructed during the 11th century CE, were multi-tiered subterranean structures designed for water conservation. These architectural sites combined utility with religious symbolism, incorporating sculptures of deities and motifs across descending galleries. Rani Ki Vav was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2014. Bar-tailed godwits undertake one of the longest-known non-stop migratory flights of any bird species. Individuals have been recorded flying over 11,000 kilometers from Alaska to New Zealand without rest, food, or gliding. Satellite tracking in 2007 confirmed a non-stop flight of 8 days, relying solely on stored body fat for energy throughout the transoceanic journey. The human hyoid bone is a U-shaped structure located in the anterior neck and is unique in that it does not articulate directly with any other bone. It plays a key role in speech and swallowing. Fossil evidence of hyoid bones in Neanderthal remains from sites such as Kabara Cave, dated to approximately 60,000 years ago, suggests that Neanderthals may have possessed vocal capabilities similar to modern humans. Excavations at Pompeii have revealed a wealth of graffiti preserved since the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE. These inscriptions, ranging from political slogans and love notes to tavern advertisements and personal greetings, provide vivid snapshots of daily life. One famous example, roughly translated, expresses enduring friendship. "We two dear men, friends forever, we're here. If you wish to know our names, they are Gaius and Aulus." During the Indian War, Korean naval forces under Admiral Yi Sun-sin deployed innovative turtle ships, vessels armored with iron plates and spikes to repel boarding and incendiary attacks. These ships played a key role in repelling Japanese invasions, and their design represents a significant advance in pre-modern naval technology, predating European ironclad warships by several centuries. Froghopper insects exhibit the highest relative jumping power among animals. Measuring only a few millimeters in length, they can leap over 100 times their body length, using a catapult-like mechanism in their hind legs. Force measurements have recorded accelerations exceeding 400 Gs, far surpassing the G-forces experienced by astronauts during rocket launches or re-entry. The Zhangheng seismoscope, invented in 2nd century China around 132 CE, was capable of detecting distant earthquakes. Designed by scientist Zhang Heng, it employed a central pendulum mechanism that triggered the release of a bronze ball from one of 8 dragon heads into the mouth of a corresponding toad, indicating the direction of the seismic activity. It could register earthquakes over several hundred kilometers away. In 2004, researchers at the Wuhan Botanical Garden germinated a lotus seed excavated from a dry lake bed in China. Radiocarbon dating indicated the seed was approximately 1,300 years old, making it one of the oldest known viable seeds ever successfully revived. The germination demonstrated the exceptional longevity of lotus seed dormancy under favorable preservation conditions. The ancient city of Caral, located in the Supe Valley of Peru, dates to approximately 2600 BCE, making it one of the oldest known urban centers in the Americas. The site includes sunken circular plazas, pyramidal structures, and bone flutes, but no evidence of fortifications or warfare. Excavations suggest a society focused on trade, agriculture, and ceremonial architecture, predating Egypt's pyramids by several centuries. The concept of the alkahest, or universal solvent, emerged in medieval alchemical theory as a hypothetical substance capable of dissolving any material, including noble metals such as gold. Alchemists believed it could break matter down into its fundamental essence. Though never realized, the idea influenced early chemical experimentation and philosophical debates about the structure and transmutation of matter in pre-modern scientific thought. The city of Ubar, referenced in classical Arabic texts as Iram of the Pillars, was discovered in Oman's Rubalki Desert in the 1990s. Satellite imaging revealed collapsed limestone caverns beneath trade route intersections. Archaeological evidence identified the site as a former incense trade hub that collapsed due to subsurface erosion, aligning with historical descriptions of the city vanishing beneath the sand. Firehawks, including species such as the black kite, whistling kite, and brown falcon, have been observed in northern Australia carrying burning sticks to ignite new grass fires. This behavior flushes out prey such as insects, reptiles, and rodents. Documented by firefighters and researchers, it is one of the few confirmed cases of tool-assisted fire use in non-human animals. Drawn in 1513 by Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis, this world map combines knowledge from European, Arab, and possibly older sources, including charts now lost. While it accurately depicts parts of South America's coastline, claims that it shows Antarctica are unsubstantiated and rejected by mainstream scholars. The map remains a fascinating example of early modern cartography. Qanats are ancient Persian underground aqueduct systems designed to transport water from mountain aquifers to arid regions. Dating back to the first millennium BCE, these gently sloping tunnels maintained consistent flow and temperature, minimizing evaporation. They supported agriculture, urban water supply, and climate control across Persia, and their use spread to regions such as North Africa and the Arabian Peninsula over subsequent centuries. Daedalus 88 was a human-powered aircraft built by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and launched on April 23, 1988. The aircraft flew 115 kilometers from Crete to Santorini, setting a world record for human-powered flight. The pilot, Kanelos Kanelopoulos, pedaled for nearly 4 hours. The flight drew inspiration from the myth of Daedalus and Icarus and demonstrated aerodynamic efficiency in lightweight materials. The South Atlantic anomaly is a region where Earth's inner Van Allen radiation belt comes unusually close to the surface, centered off the coast of Brazil. This geomagnetic irregularity results in elevated radiation exposure for satellites and spacecraft, causing increased electronics malfunctions and radiation dosage. NASA and ESA routinely account for the anomaly in mission planning, especially during low Earth orbit satellite operations. The Białowieża Forest, spanning the border between Poland and Belarus, is Europe's last remaining primeval lowland forest. It contains oak trees over 600 years old and hosts diverse fauna, including the European bison, the continent's largest terrestrial mammal. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the forest serves as a vital refuge for species that once populated vast areas of Europe. Certain shark species, such as hammerheads and great whites, are equipped with electroreceptive organs known as ampullae of Lorenzini. These structures allow sharks to detect electric fields as weak as 1 to 5 nanovolts per centimeter, enabling them to sense the bioelectric signals of prey concealed beneath sand or sediment. This finely tuned sensory system enhances their short-range tracking ability and plays a critical role in their success as apex marine predators. The Great Dismal Swamp, located along the Virginia-North Carolina border in the United States, served as a refuge for escaped slaves from the 17th to the 19th centuries. Known as Maroons, these individuals formed self-sustaining communities deep within the swamp, relying on hunting, fishing, and covert trade. Archaeological surveys confirm long-term habitation, making it a significant site of resistance and survival during American slavery. Subscribe now to unlock a world of rare, mind-blowing facts you've never heard before. Updated regularly to keep you ahead of the curve. Within Hindu cosmology, a kalpa represents a vast span, 4.32 billion years, during which the universe undergoes creation, sustenance, and dissolution, cyclical processes mirroring scientific notions of cosmic epochs. While the Puranas describe these recurring cycles as part of a grand, non-linear temporal framework, the kalpa's connection to geological eras is more symbolic than direct. The Mongolian Jur, or yurt, is a portable round tent traditionally used by nomadic herders across Central Asia. Its wooden frame, insulated felt layers, and central roof opening allow for efficient heat retention and ventilation. Designed to be assembled or taken down in under 60 minutes, it adapts easily to harsh climates from below freezing winters to arid summer plains. The whale shark, the world's largest living fish, has skin that can reach up to 10 centimeters thick. This surface is covered with dermal denticles, small tooth-like scales, that reduce drag and protect against parasites. However, due to low vascularization, these animals tend to heal slowly from physical damage such as propeller injuries or abrasions. The Hohokam civilization, active in present-day Arizona from approximately 200 CE to 1450 CE, engineered over 800 kilometers of irrigation canals by hand. These networks diverted river water to support agriculture in the Sonoran Desert. Despite the absence of metal tools or draft animals, their canal systems were highly organized and sustained large populations for centuries. The Shanai Timpishka, often called the boiling river of the Amazon, reaches temperatures as high as 93 degrees Celsius. Located in the Peruvian rainforest, its heat comes from deep geothermal faults rather than volcanic sources. Despite the surrounding ecosystem, few species survive in the river itself due to its extreme thermal conditions. Prophecy Rock, a revered Hopi petroglyph in northern Arizona, illustrates two parallel paths, one representing harmony with nature and tradition, the other symbolizing a life detached from spiritual kinship with the earth. While specific interpretations vary, the rock remains a sacred touchstone for the Hopi, embodying prophecies and ethical teachings preserved through generations of oral tradition. The Moche civilization of ancient Peru, which flourished from about 100 to 800 CE, conducted ceremonial bloodletting rituals. Using ornate knives known as tumi, elite members would offer their own blood during agricultural or religious ceremonies. These practices were often depicted in pottery and murals, suggesting the rituals held cultural and ecological importance. Among the Baiga people of central India, historical practices included tattooing infants with herbal soot using bone or metal needles. This was believed to strengthen the child's health, build endurance, and ward off illness. Although less common today, the tradition reflects the tribe's emphasis on physical and spiritual resilience during early development. Borobudur, located in central Java, Indonesia, is the world's largest Buddhist temple. Built in the 9th century during the Sailendra dynasty, it consists of 9 stacked platforms and over 2,000 carved relief panels. Constructed using volcanic andesite stone, the structure is shaped like a three-dimensional mandala intended to guide visitors on a symbolic path toward enlightenment. Terra Preta, or dark earth, is a man-made soil found throughout the Amazon basin. Indigenous communities enriched this soil with biochar, fish bones, and organic waste more than 2,000 years ago. Its high fertility persists today, making it a subject of interest in modern sustainable agriculture and carbon sequestration research. The rod of Asclepius, featuring a single serpent entwined around a staff, represents healing and medicine in Greek tradition. It is often confused with the caduceus, which has 2 snakes and is associated with Hermes, the Greek god of trade. The confusion became widespread in the 20th century, especially in medical insignias in the United States. The spider-tailed horned viper, native to western Iran, evolved a tail that resembles and moves like a spider. This adaptation lures insect-eating birds, which mistake the tail for prey. When a bird comes close enough, the viper strikes. First described in 2006, it is one of the few known cases of caudal luring among snakes. The Babylonian Talmud, compiled between the 3rd and 5th centuries CE, includes numerous references to astronomical phenomena such as lunar phases, eclipses, and the timing of seasons. While its focus is religious law, these observations reveal a sophisticated awareness of celestial patterns consistent with ancient Babylonian star charts and calendars. The La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles are a group of naturally occurring asphalt seeps that have preserved the remains of thousands of Pleistocene-era animals. Over the past 50,000 years, creatures such as saber-toothed cats, mammoths, and dire wolves became trapped in the sticky substance, allowing their bones to fossilize in remarkable condition. The Giant's Causeway, located in County Antrim, Northern Ireland, comprises approximately 40,000 interlocking basalt columns. These formations, primarily hexagonal in shape, were produced by the rapid cooling and contraction of volcanic lava flows during the Paleogene period, around 50 to 60 million years ago. The uniformity and geometric structure of the columns have been extensively studied within the field of igneous petrology. Acropora millipora, a reef-building coral species, has demonstrated intergenerational thermal resilience through epigenetic mechanisms. Research published in Science Advances indicates that corals exposed to elevated temperatures may confer enhanced heat tolerance to their offspring, suggesting the presence of environmentally induced heritable plasticity that could influence coral adaptation under climate change. The leap second is a temporal adjustment introduced by the International Earth Rotation and Reference Systems Service to synchronize coordinated universal time with irregularities in Earth's rotation. Unlike the standardized leap year, leap seconds are added irregularly. Since their implementation in 1972, they have occasionally caused disruptions in satellite navigation systems, data transmission protocols, and high-frequency trading infrastructure. The missing baryonic matter problem in cosmology has been partially resolved by the detection of the warm-hot intergalactic medium, a diffuse plasma with temperatures ranging from 100,000 to 10 million Kelvin. Observations using X-ray and ultraviolet spectroscopy, particularly by the Chandra X-ray Observatory and the XMM Newton telescope, have confirmed that this medium forms filamentary structures connecting galaxy clusters. The extinct Haast's eagle, endemic to New Zealand, possessed an estimated wingspan of up to 3.5 meters and a mass approaching 15 kilograms. It was the apex predator of the South Island prior to human settlement. Paleontological and archaeological evidence suggests it primarily hunted moas, large flightless birds, and may be linked to Maori oral traditions concerning giant predatory birds. The Cueva de las Manos, located in Santa Cruz Province, Argentina, contains over 2,000 stenciled handprints dated between 7,000 and 9,000 years ago, based on radiocarbon analysis. Some prints appear to have fewer digits, a visual effect produced by partially folding fingers during pigment application. The site provides early evidence of symbolic behavior and spatial composition in prehistoric South American art. The black swallowtail caterpillar possesses a bifurcated glandular structure known as osmeteria, which it everts when threatened. These organs emit volatile compounds such as isobutyric and 2-methylbutyric acid, creating a pungent citrus-like odor that deters arthropod predators. This chemosensory defense mechanism is an adaptive trait within the Lepidoptera order. The hellbender, a member of the family Cryptobranchidae, is the largest aquatic salamander in North America, with adult specimens reaching up to 74 centimeters in length. This species relies on cutaneous respiration, facilitated by highly vascularized dermal folds, and inhabits cold, fast-flowing streams. Its longevity can exceed 30 years under natural conditions. The urban layout of Teotihuacan, a Mesoamerican city established circa 100 BCE, displays a deliberate orientation offset by 15.5 degrees east of true north. This alignment corresponds with the setting of the Pleiades star cluster during key calendrical events. The orientation supports evidence that astronomical phenomena inform the city's ritual and civic architecture. In 2019, researchers using ground-penetrating radar identified the substructure of a Viking-era longhouse in Gjellestad, southeastern Norway. Measuring approximately 61 meters in length, the structure likely served as a communal or administrative hall. The discovery contributes to the understanding of Viking socio-political organization and settlement patterns during the Late Iron Age. Mozi, a Chinese philosopher active during the 5th century BCE, proposed that light travels in straight lines and can produce inverted images through a small aperture, an early concept of the camera obscura. His treatise, documented in the Mozi texts, predates similar Western theories by over 2 millennia and represents an early foundation in the study of optical physics. Chladni figures, named after German physicist Ernst Chladni, are geometric nodal patterns formed by fine particles, e.g., sand, on vibrating surfaces. When a metal plate is resonated using a violin bow or tone generator, the particles accumulate along stationary nodes. These patterns, first systematically studied in the late 18th century, illustrate the spatial distribution of vibrational modes and standing waves. The upside-down jellyfish inhabits shallow tropical and subtropical waters and displays an unusual benthic posture, resting bell-side down. This orientation allows sunlight to reach symbiotic zooxanthellae within its tissues. The jellyfish pulsates rhythmically to facilitate gas exchange and nutrient flow, and is adapted to both marine and brackish ecosystems. The oblique effect is a perceptual bias wherein the human visual system exhibits heightened sensitivity to vertical and horizontal stimuli compared to oblique orientations. Neurophysiological studies attribute this anisotropy to the higher prevalence of neurons in the primary visual cortex that respond preferentially to cardinal orientations, a pattern shaped by environmental regularities. The Pilbara Craton in Western Australia contains some of the Earth's oldest preserved continental crust, with rocks dated via uranium-lead zircon dating to over 3.5 billion years. The region hosts fossilized stromatolites, layered sedimentary formations created by cyanobacteria, providing critical evidence for early microbial life and oxygenic photosynthesis in the Archean eon. The city of Aomori in northern Japan receives more average snowfall than any other major urban area globally, with annual totals exceeding 8 meters. This is largely due to cold Siberian air masses that absorb moisture as they pass over the relatively warmer Sea of Japan, resulting in persistent lake-effect snow during winter. A group of turtles is referred to as a bale. Among them, the olive ridley sea turtle is particularly known for its synchronized nesting behavior called aribada, where tens of thousands of females come ashore simultaneously. This mass nesting may serve as a survival mechanism by overwhelming local predators. The town of Centralia, Pennsylvania, was gradually evacuated following a coal seam fire that ignited beneath it in 1962. Despite efforts to extinguish the blaze, it remains active today, and geologists have projected that the subsurface combustion could persist for several more centuries, depending on oxygen availability and coal reserves. The Mbuti of the Ituri forest in the Democratic Republic of the Congo are widely recognized for their egalitarian social structure, cooperative conflict resolution, and absence of hierarchical leadership. While their traditional language and culture lack formal concepts of organized warfare, interpersonal disagreements are typically mediated through group consensus, ritual song, and storytelling. The golden ratio, approximately 1.618, has been observed in various natural forms, including phylotactic patterns in sunflower seeds and the spirals of shells. Though some associations remain debated, the ratio frequently arises in biological systems governed by the Fibonacci sequence due to efficient packing and growth optimization. Archaeological evidence suggests Neanderthals used manganese dioxide, a mineral often associated with pigment, to assist in fire-making. Experiments conducted in 2016 demonstrated that powdered manganese dioxide significantly lowers wood's ignition point, implying a deliberate use of chemical accelerants by Neanderthals as early as 50,000 years ago. In 2007, researchers studying an orangutan named Rocky at the Indianapolis Zoo observed him producing vocalizations with pitch control that mimicked human speech sounds. This was the first recorded case of a great ape adjusting vocal frequency in real time, suggesting previously underestimated flexibility in non-human primate vocal systems. The earliest known compasses from ancient China utilized magnetized lodestones suspended in water or placed on a freely turning surface. These devices typically indicated south rather than north, and were primarily used for feng shui and divination. Their application to navigation came centuries later during the Song dynasty. Historical records and early European sketches suggest that the Great Sphinx of Giza once included both a nose and a ceremonial beard. The facial damage is believed to have occurred well before the French campaign in Egypt, and there is no credible evidence supporting the claim that Napoleon's forces were responsible for its destruction. In Papua New Guinea, several species of birds of paradise, particularly those in the genus Lophorina and Parochia, perform highly structured courtship displays. These routines include coordinated movements, feather presentation, and the use of structural coloration to create optical effects, all of which play a role in sexual selection. The epigenome comprises chemical modifications, including DNA methylation and histone acetylation, that regulate gene activity without changing the DNA sequence itself. Environmental influences such as nutrition and stress can alter these marks, potentially affecting health and development. In certain organisms, some epigenetic changes may be inherited by offspring, though the extent and mechanisms of transgenerational epigenetic inheritance in humans remain active areas of scientific inquiry. The Persian water clock, known as the fenjan, was an early timekeeping device used across the Islamic world. It operated by placing a small bowl with a hole in its base into a larger water container. As the bowl filled and sank, it marked a fixed interval of time. Such devices were used in contexts like mosque scheduling and astronomical observation. In 2015, researchers demonstrated quantum entanglement between two microscopic diamonds at room temperature. This experiment, published in Nature Communications, marked a significant step in overcoming the typical requirement for cryogenic cooling in quantum systems and may contribute to the development of more practical quantum information technologies. The tesseract is a four-dimensional geometric construct known as a hypercube. It is the theoretical extension of a cube into the fourth spatial dimension. While it cannot be physically realized in three-dimensional space, it can be visualized through mathematical projections and computer models. Patented by Nikola Tesla in 1920, the Tesla valve is a passive fluidic device designed with a series of symmetrical, interconnected channels that allow forward flow with minimal resistance while impeding reverse flow, all without movable parts. Its efficient, wear-resistant design has inspired modern applications in microfluidics and high-durability hydraulic systems. Turan graves are a form of Iron Age burial architecture found in Estonia and parts of northwestern Russia. These enclosures, typically dated from the 5th century BCE to the 5th century CE, often contain human remains alongside iron tools, animal bones, and ornaments placed for funerary purposes. Mummy brown was a pigment used extensively in European painting between the 16th and 19th centuries. The pigment was made from the ground remains of embalmed human and animal mummies imported from Egypt. By the early 20th century, the practice declined due to ethical concerns and scarcity of supply. The Wollemi pin, previously known only through fossil records dating to the Jurassic period, was rediscovered in 1994 in Wollemi National Park, New South Wales. Fewer than 100 mature specimens exist in the wild, and its location is kept confidential to prevent contamination. A 2018 study published in Proceedings of the Royal Society B found that cuttlefish demonstrated delayed gratification in controlled experiments. Individuals that postponed immediate food rewards performed better on subsequent cognitive tasks, indicating advanced behavioral regulation. The term tsunami originates from the Japanese words tsu, harbor, and nami, wave. It was used by coastal fishermen who observed that their villages were destroyed by waves despite calm sea conditions offshore. The word entered international scientific vocabulary during the 20th century. In 1880, French engineer Maurice Leblanc proposed a mechanical scanning disc system for transmitting visual images, predating similar systems by Paul Nipkow. His ideas contributed to theoretical discussions on image encoding, but did not incorporate cathode ray tubes, CRTs, which were applied later in fully electronic television. The development of television relied on the cumulative innovations of many inventors across mechanical and electronic eras. Halophiles are extremophic microorganisms, classified under domains bacteria and archaea. They inhabit hypersaline environments, such as the Dead Sea and solar salterns. Some species synthesize carotenoid pigments, particularly bacterioruberin, which can color surrounding water bodies pink or red. The Greek phalanx was a military formation used extensively from the 7th to 4th centuries BCE. Hoplites in close ranks relied on overlapping shields, with each soldier's left side covered by the shield of the man to the left. This configuration reduced vulnerability and emphasized coordinated movement. The slow loris is the only known venomous primate. It produces a toxic secretion from its brachial glands, which it can apply to its teeth or fur. Bites can result in severe allergic reactions in humans, including anaphylactic shock in extreme cases. The prayer plant exhibits nyctinisty, a movement in which its leaves lift upward during darkness and lower during daylight. This is regulated by circadian-controlled pulvinous cells at the base of each leaf stalk and is not dependent on external light stimuli alone. The tomb of Pharaoh Seti I, designated KV-17, was discovered by Giovanni Battista Belzoni in 1817. Located in the Valley of the Kings, it measures approximately 137 meters in length and contains some of the earliest astronomical ceiling decorations in Egyptian royal tombs. The northern bald ibis was extirpated from much of Europe by the 17th century. Modern reintroduction efforts have used ultralight aircraft-led migrations, with reference to historical records and artwork from Egypt and medieval Europe to restore seasonal flight routes. A sundog, or parhelion, is a meteorological phenomenon produced by the refraction of sunlight through hexagonal ice crystals in the upper troposphere. This effect causes the appearance of two bright spots at approximately 22 degrees on either side of the sun. Butterfly wings display structural coloration rather than pigment-based hues. Microscopic nanostructures on the scales of species such as Morpho-Menelaus selectively reflect specific light wavelengths. This results in iridescence that shifts with the viewing angle and ambient light conditions. The Assyrian aqueduct at Jerwan, built during the reign of King Sennacherib in the early 7th century BCE, is a monumental segment of a larger canal system that transported water to Nineveh from the Khinus Gorge. The Jerwan structure itself is not 50 kilometers long. Rather, it is a specific stone-built bridge within that extensive system. It features early use of rounded stone arches and carefully laid masonry, representing one of the earliest known large-scale hydraulic engineering projects in the ancient world. Neuroplasticity in adults enables the brain to reorganize neural pathways following trauma or cognitive training. Research published in the journal Nature Reviews Neuroscience has confirmed that cortical areas can assume new functions post-injury. This contradicts earlier beliefs that brain development was fixed after adolescence. Functional MRI and diffusion tensor imaging have demonstrated such plastic changes, particularly after stroke or sensory loss. The ancient oracle of Delphi delivered prophecies from a temple above intersecting geologic faults, which recent studies suggest emitted gases including ethylene, methane, and carbon dioxide. Low concentrations of ethylene can induce trance-like states. While this has led some scholars to propose that the Pythia's visions had a chemical component, direct evidence linking specific gas exposure to her prophecies remains suggestive, not conclusive. The Ainu, an indigenous people of northern Japan and parts of Russia, practiced animism in which spiritual entities known as kamui were believed to inhabit natural and man-made objects. Archaeological and ethnographic records detail ceremonial offerings, the Iomante bear sacrifice ritual, and carved inao sticks as part of their spiritual framework. Ainu culture faced assimilation pressures after the Meiji period in the late 19th century. In the early 17th century, Dutch astronomer Christian Huygens used improved refracting telescopes to observe Saturn. However, earlier observers, including Galileo Galilei in 1610, had described the planet as having ears due to its ring's unresolved shape. Huygens identified the ring structure in 1659, and Giovanni Cassini later discovered the ring division in 1675. The Xoloitzcuintli, or Mexican hairless dog, has a lineage dating back over 3,000 years. Archaeological remains confirm their presence in Aztec, Toltec, and Maya civilizations. These dogs were often buried with humans to guide souls through Mictlan, the underworld. Genetic studies indicate they possess a mutation in the FOXY3 gene responsible for hairlessness and dental anomalies. The Alnwick Poison Garden, located in Northumberland, England, contains over 100 toxic plant species. Opened in 2005 as part of the Alnwick Garden Complex, it includes plants such as Atropa belladonna, Ricinus communis, and Conium maculatum. Visitors are prohibited from touching or inhaling plant fumes. The garden serves educational purposes regarding toxicology and plant-based poisons. Earth's inner core, a solid sphere of iron-nickel about 1,200 kilometers in radius, rotates independently of the mantle and crust. Seismic studies, including work by Zhang et al., suggest the core's rotation rate fluctuates slightly over decades, possibly due to electromagnetic coupling with the outer core. These minute changes can influence the length of Earth's day by milliseconds, reflecting the dynamic interplay between Earth's deep interior and its surface rotation. During World War II, the United States Marine Corps recruited Navajo speakers to develop an unbreakable code. The Navajo code talkers created a lexicon of over 200 terms and relayed tactical messages in the Pacific theater. The code was never deciphered by Axis forces and contributed to Allied victories in battles such as Iwo Jima in 1945. Witch's broom is a growth anomaly in trees caused by infections from fungi such as Taphrina betulina, phytoplasmas, or parasitic insects. It results in dense clusters of deformed twigs at a single node. Historically, these deformities were mistaken for signs of witchcraft or supernatural presence. Today, the condition is studied for its impact on forestry and plant pathology. Tuvan throat singing, or kume, is practiced by the Tuvan people of southern Siberia. Singers manipulate vocal tract resonance to produce a fundamental pitch along with one or more overtones. Acoustic analyses reveal control over formant frequencies, allowing the simultaneous production of distinct tones. The tradition imitates natural sounds and is recognized by UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage. Triton, Neptune's largest moon, exhibits active cryovolcanism. Voyager 2 imagery in 1989 revealed nitrogen geysers erupting up to 8 kilometers high. These are driven by solar heating through Triton's thin atmosphere, which causes subsurface nitrogen to sublimate and build pressure. Triton is one of the few solar system bodies with observed surface geological activity. Ancient Chinese agricultural systems integrated aquaculture and rice farming. Farmers placed fish such as Cyprinus carpio in rice paddies, where they consumed pests and fertilized the soil with excreta. This symbiotic method, documented as early as the 5th century BCE, is an early example of aquaponics. It enhanced crop yields and remains in use in parts of China today. Gambierdiscus toxicus is a benthic dinoflagellate found in tropical coral reef environments. It produces ciguatoxins that accumulate in the flesh of herbivorous and carnivorous fish. Ciguatera fish poisoning affects over 50,000 people annually and causes gastrointestinal, neurological, and sensory symptoms. The toxins remain stable at cooking temperatures, making prevention reliant on species avoidance rather than preparation. Installed in the year 1837 by astronomer Stephen Rigaud, the Meridian Line at Canterbury Cathedral represents a refined fusion of science and architecture. Using a small aperture to project sunlight onto a calibrated floor line, it accurately marks true solar noon. While not medieval, it complements the cathedral's long-standing tradition of astronomical interest. Rather than regulating a clock, it served as a precise educational tool in an era of growing scientific inquiry. Click here to find out what else I found. What are you waiting for? Click it. Learn something. That's literally why you watch this channel. Come on. More facts, more weird stuff. Please, I don't know how many times I can do this. Click it.